accounts? Because I know that, I mean, with you being on Twitter and you having your LindaGodfrey.com, people can contact you on there with reports and everything. Is this a time where, I mean, is October or around Halloween, that kind of time, is this a time where accounts of werewolves or man-wolves, is this the time that this kind of stuff kind of spikes, or?
Well, actually, it seems to me whenever something comes up, like a new book comes out, and there's that national exposure again, it doesn't matter what time of year it is for reports. This book debuted at the end of August, early September, and because of a couple of media things that reported it, I've been deluged ever since, and it actually kind of slows down a little bit right around Halloween, the reports do. But then it just depends on what kind of media coverage there is, because it seems like the more people learn about it, the more are willing to come out of the woodwork and admit, 20 years ago or 2 weeks ago, I saw this thing too. I know it's real.
Now, the title of your newest book is Real Wolfmen, True Encounters in Modern America. And
Right.
people read the cover, Real Wolfmen. Okay, let's get real here. So I just want to know what constitutes a true encounter?
Well, it's partly a judgment call on my part. I get so many, I have to sift through them. And what I like to say is that these encounters were very real to the people that experienced them. It appeared that they were looking at, in most cases, some type of actual natural animal. Their view of it, their emotions, everything about it was a real event as reported by them. And then I have to try and interview them and kind of vet it. I try to, when possible, I talk to people in person, but that's not always practical because so many come from all over the United States. So it's me reporting on people's experiences, and in that way it's nonfiction. And the real wolfman part comes in, not in the sense that we're talking about people's idea of a traditional werewolf, where you have Lon Chaney contorting all of his muscles and lengthening his nose into a muzzle and that kind of thing, growing whiskers, but in the sense that there appears to be some type of real, if mysterious, phenomenon where we've got unknown canine creatures that walk upright. I don't claim to know for sure what they are, but I don't think that they're the traditional idea of werewolves. That's why I really prefer terms like wolfmen or beasts or creatures or even unknown upright canines.
Is there a difference?
Werewolf is the sexiest term, and that's what the publishers like the most.
Is there a difference between things like wolfmen, dogmen, werewolves? Or I know I saw something that's sort of new. I mean, I've heard of werebears, but you have something in your newest book called a wolf bear. Or
the bear wolf. And actually, I'm pretty sure it's pretty much the same creature. It just seems to be sort of a local variation, because I can draw you a circle of where these reports originate from in Wisconsin. I haven't really had them anywhere else in the country. It's almost like just a local variant. And the only difference is people say it has a very wolf-like head. It had canine limbs, walked on its hind legs, and was thicker through the body than you'd expect a wolf to be. Wasn't a bear. Did not have a bear head or those thick, flat-footed feet that a bear has. They say it was definitely canine. It was just thicker. And the name was actually coined by some hunters around the Wausau area who started seeing this creature that they knew was not a bear, but seemed a little huskier than a wolf and actually walked upright. And they started calling it a bear wolf, and this one road outside of Wausau was actually nicknamed Bear Wolf Road. And I've had other reports just within a certain central Wisconsin area, and it doesn't seem to occur anywhere else.
Now, I noticed that in your book you have a lot of author interpretations of the drawings of the beasts that they've seen. And
right.
To me, the skepticism that comes out would be something like, okay, but we all know... I mean, because I know somebody could make the claim that, they're all seeing pretty much what looks like the same thing. Yeah, but we all know what a werewolf is supposed to look like.
Right.
So, I mean, are
Right.
the drawings really that impressive?
Well, I think that they are. I try to listen closely to people, and the thing is, when somebody draws you, if you say, draw me a werewolf, or you look at all the Hollywood depictions of werewolf or the comic book depictions of werewolves, they really put a lot more humanity into them. You know, the faces are flatter. Oftentimes it'll be more of a humanoid face. You get true shoulders, you know, whereas with these things, they're reported as having more muscles in the upper limb than you'd usually expect to see in a wolf or a dog, but not true shoulders. People will say, you know, it held its limbs out in front of it like your dog when it's begging, or like a kangaroo, or some have even compared it to, you know, like a tyrannosaurus, where the limbs are not branched to the side the way, say, a human's or a primate's are. So that's a difference. Another difference is that people will report that the legs are like a canine's, that they appear to be bent backwards, and by that they mean that it's walking on its toe pads, and so where you're expecting to see a knee bending forward, you're actually seeing what's analogous to the human heel and ankle joint up above the ground. They'll talk about its neck hunching forward, which is another aspect of canine anatomy that doesn't normally show up in, you know, Hollywood things. And actually, when people send me a sketch that looks like it was one of these comic book characters or something from, you know, one of the werewolf movies, that's usually a sure tip-off to me that they're, you know, trying to hoax me or something, because there's a difference. The actual creatures that people report seeing, and this is what interested me as a reporter in the beginning, seem to be just purely canine in their physical appearance, except for their behavior. The behavior is the different thing, because it's not supernatural or impossible for a canine to walk or run on its hind legs. They just usually aren't motivated to do so. The other thing that they do that seems a little unusual is that they will carry prey, even, you know, small deer have been reported in their forelimbs, which is not a normal way for a canine to carry around its prey. And they seem to have a little more intelligence. Maybe it's because people are looking at them, something that's staring back at them upright. You know, I'm not sure exactly why that is, but it's all behavioral. It's not in the physical characteristics of the animal, other than that it seems to have, you know, a bigger size than people expect. Usually they're reported as being 6 to 7 feet tall on their hind legs. And sometimes people will say it had paws, not hands, but they were a little elongated. And you could argue that that was a feature of natural selection and adaptation, that if there are canines that find it advantageous to walk upright in the wild, that nature would certainly select for those with larger paws that would facilitate balance and carrying things.
Yeah, but if we're going to get into the evolution of an animal, that's something that takes...
And I wouldn't call it evolution. I'd call it... And this is pure speculation on my part, I might add. I don't claim that this is a scientific thing. But I wouldn't call it evolution. I'd call it just natural selection and adaptation, not changing the species, but
well, that's
maybe
evolution.
selecting out individuals that display a certain behavior.
I would have to say that that's still sort of the definition of evolution, just except the part where you said not changing the species.
That's okay. You know, I won't argue semantics with you.
But what would be the advantage of of course, you did say that this is purely speculation, so could you, any ideas of what would give the dog the advantage of walking on its hind legs when it's not designed to walk on its hind legs?
Right. Well, there are many quadrupeds will rear up. For instance, bears do this. If they want to get a look, you know, out in the distance or have a better look at something, they'll rear up momentarily, you know, and then usually drop back to all fours. And it just got me thinking, because of another factor. One thing I do when I get reports is I map them out. I try to see, you know, where sightings are clustered, where they're heaviest, what sorts of geographical things are nearby. And I noticed that there are more east of the Mississippi, and particularly